everyone, and welcome back to the Ghost Biker Garage. We've got a great show tonight and just, a lot of cool things going on. But before we get to that, going to make sure I was having a little bit of microphone difficulty here a few minutes ago. So if anyone over here in the chat room can just let me know for sure that you can hear everything okay, that would be great. But otherwise, going to talk about a little bit of business that's going on. We are just kicking off our Women's History Month here for March. We had really great guests on last week. We had the ladies from Paranormally Blonde on, had a great show talking about their podcast and their new platform. This week, I've got another group of awesome ladies that have some really cool investigation evidence that they're going to let me release, as well as talking about some cool things that they've got coming up. So we're really excited about that, and we're going to round out the month with some other amazing guests that we'll talk about here at the end of the show. So thank you, Janet, for confirming, and hello to Bad Medicine, Janet, to Carl. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Like I said, we have a really great show, but just to kind of get into a little bit of previous business here. Things are rolling right along here with the historic Scott County Jail. Kicked off our Women's History Month up there with our flashlight tours and public ghost hunts. We also kicked off our podcast last week with the Ghost Girls in Wayne, which was a whole lot of fun. If you didn't see that, you need to tune in. This coming week, we're going to have Shonda Ellis Duncan, who was only the second police officer or female police officer there with the Oneida Police Department. And she also worked for the women's shelter and she is now currently a public defender. So we're going to be talking about her story and her accomplishments. So that's going to be next week on the Jailhouse Informant. And again, our research study that's going on up there, you guys don't want to miss this. It runs through the end of May 31st. We'll be releasing the results of that paranormal research study. And we're totally having a ball with this. And the paranormal teams that have come in, they've gotten some very, very cool responses. Everyone's been very excited about it. So if you want more information on that, that's also on www.historicscottcojail.com. So, that's a lot of that stuff going on. We will talk about it a little bit more at the end of the broadcast, but not going to really waste any time. We want to get to the ladies for tonight. This team, they come from straight out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They were established in 2010, and they are an all-female team. So if you will, help me welcome the ladies of Steel City Ghost Hunters.
Hi!
Hey, ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, again, if anyone has any questions over in the chat room, if you'll put those questions in all caps, that way I make sure that I don't miss, what you're asking. So, and then that way, whenever we get to a break in our conversation, we will definitely make sure that these ladies answer your questions. So tell us what's going on, ladies. Tell us about your team.
So my name's Heather. I am originally from just south of Pittsburgh here, and started with the team, like 2011. It's been a really long time. We were established in, I think we said, was it 2011? 2010, yeah. So I came about a year later. And I had experienced some stuff in my house growing up. So that's kind of what started me looking into the paranormal.
I'm Kim, and I started about a year later, a year after Heather. Missy is my husband and my sister-in-law here. They're cousin. So we were at a family gathering. I've always been into the paranormal and anything that goes bump in the night, creepy. The creepier, the better. And they told me about their team and how they were going and go to these places. And I was like, I want to do this. So they invited me along, and that was the end of it. It was like over. I was hooked. And of course I had to drag Loie here with me. She doesn't really have that much of a voice tonight, so we're going to let her slide on speaking.
Me too, right? I am the shy one.
You're
Believe it or not.
Well, it's really cool because I actually got to meet you ladies in person. What was it, about 2 years ago at the Grave City Expo there at the Sanford building, at the Archive of the Afterlife, I guess, their
Yes.
convention.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so that was really cool because as we were talking, found out we had investigated a few of the same places and had some really interesting experiences.
Right.
Absolutely. It was kind of like an instant connection. You meet those people in your life that you just have that instant connection with, and that's kind of what it's been with you since the beginning. So
Yeah. It's been awesome to meet and follow along with everything you all have been doing because I mean you're quite an active team.
we
And
are.
vice versa.
We try, yeah.
And vice versa. You're very active.
Always busy.
Yes. Absolutely.
So has your team always been just the four of you?
No. So we started out with about 12 people from the initiation. It was originally just family at first. And then, kids happened, life happened, marriage happened. And the four of us just kind of said, no, we're going to keep going. We got to keep doing this. So we're in it for the long haul.
Nice.
We hang out otherwise too, besides just the ghost hunting,
Yeah.
We get together and hang out as much as we can. Talk on the phone all the time. So we're all family and
we
really
all live
tight.
near each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all three of us are probably within 10 minutes of each other. Me and Missy actually are 2 minutes away from each other. And Heather's maybe a good 15, 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have porch nights in the summer. So.
Yes, we do. Porch nights are the best.
So do you all travel all over or do you go mostly kind of local to your area?
Pretty much all over, but right now we've just been on the East Coast. So haven't really traveled. Kentucky was the furthest?
Right.
Kentucky was the furthest down to Waverly. Last year we did Old Hospital on College Hill, which was a little over 5 hours. That was a great investigation.
Amazing place, by the way. Amazing place.
Beautiful, beautiful building. The people that run it are absolutely amazing. Great people to work with. They just had a lot of stories to share. And it was really funny because the mayor comes to meet all the teams when he can. Wow. And we were the first team to make it all night. So he said,
yeah, exactly.
And he said Hatfield, right?
Yes, he was at Hatfield. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he told us, he said, usually by 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, they're calling him done. He said, I woke up a couple times during the night and checked my phone, like, oh my gosh, them poor girls, they're probably like ringing my phone. He said, no call. And when we called him in the morning at 8 o'clock and said, hey, okay, we're ready to go, he was shocked. He said, I can't believe you made it all night. So, but we did enjoy that place very much.
Yeah, we did.
That's what it's actually fairly new, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were one of the first teams in there. They had just opened in February, and we were down there in July. So not many teams had been through there prior to us. It was a great experience. We had a lot of activity. We did try to sleep. Well, they slept. I did not. Yeah, they were all snoring at one point. I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work for me. But so I didn't really sleep much, but it was a great building. They were great to work with. They were worried about us driving home because it was over 5 hours. So we're like, are you sure you don't need to sleep? Like, stay for a little bit. Yeah, we're good. We're good. So yeah, it was interesting. Had a lot of more, I wouldn't say visual, a lot of audible stuff that was happening, some disembodied voices. We did have the periscope going off up in what used to be the pharmacy area. So had a lot of play up there. They have a lot
Missy
of.
saw that guy.
Oh yeah.
And then Missy actually, didn't you see that guy standing in the door? She thought somebody was in the building. She actually saw a man standing there. There was nobody there. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah, they've got a great building there. They were in the process of cleaning out. They had a bunch of old striker beds stored on that first level. So they were in the process of cleaning that out. So the first level was a little bit difficult to investigate, but they were in the process of cleaning that out. So I've seen some pictures since then. So I'm pretty sure that they've opened some of those areas up, and that's where Missy had seen the full-bodied apparition there. So
Wow. So do they have do they have stories about specific people that are supposed to be rumored to be there?
yeah, so the original owners of the hospital, we had taken some pictures of those, so I think those are posted on our website. But the original owners, there was a horse that was brought in. That, okay, it's a hospital. Well, we don't really operate on animals, but we're going to try. So there was some stories about the horse. What were some of the other stories? The gentleman that was pushed. Yeah, there was candy. And then the gentleman that was, well, they said he jumped out the window. He had gotten into it with a police officer, and they said he jumped. We did try to communicate with him to find out if he was pushed or if he jumped. He was brought back into the hospital for a broken leg and then passed away, a month or two later? I can't remember the exact details. Bless you.
thank you.
So I can't remember exactly how long after he passed away. But it was not anything that he should have died from, even after he went out the window. So they had some great stories there.
Very cool. And we've got a question here from D Hoot. She says, do you all have a YouTube channel?
We sure do. We actually used to have, our YouTube channel's fairly new. So we lost a lot of the following that we had on our old YouTube channel due to some issues with YouTube and things like that. So we're actually working on building that YouTube channel back up. We have some teaser videos on there with some of the different places that we've investigated, places that we're going. We have a couple full case reviews on there. So we're working on building that up so that we can get some more full case reviews on there and more stuff out to you guys. So please feel free, jump out and take a look at that. It is still City Ghost Hunters. It is our logo that we have on our jackets. So look for that little logo. We're definitely out there.
I'm actually in the process now. I'm going to pull that up and put that in the comments there. I know it's in the show notes. So it's in the show notes on, I believe, on the YouTube and Facebook, but I'm going to put that in there in the comments just so it's there.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes, D-Hoot.
Thanks, D-Hoot.
Yeah, so bear with me just a second as I find that, because I want to make sure that that I get that in there. They should just be able to search, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I said, I'm going to check right quick to make sure, because I'm pretty sure I put it in the show notes there. Yeah, here it is. Dee, if you will also go back and look on the community post, we've got that in there, but I'm going to add this right there because you guys definitely need to go and follow that.
Thank you.
Show them some support here. There
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull up here. Let me just go to, so tell us about some of these places that's in your group photos here.
All right. So the top left-hand corner is actually Old Hospital on College Hill. That's actually overlooking the town of Williamson, which is where they are located. The top picture on the right is Fairfield County Infirmary in Lancaster, Ohio. We will be heading back there on April the 4th this year. The bottom picture on the left is actually from Prospect Place, one of our favorite locations. And then the bottom picture on the right is a local cemetery that is kind of up by my house. My daughter and I like to go walk in cemeteries. It's very peaceful. And we were driving by one day on our way to Dairy Queen, as a matter of fact. And she's like, Mom, check out these gates. I really like these. And so we stopped to take a picture. And of course, I had to drive up into the cemetery. And it's just an amazing, amazing cemetery. So we decided to do some pictures up there. So it's a great place.
Yeah, and cemeteries are awesome. I mean, I really enjoy those. If you have to pick a type of location, whether it be a hospital, a cemetery, a home, what are your favorite locations to investigate?
The sanitariums.
Yeah. That's mine.
Yeah.
Hospitals, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is my favorite place.
I think that's all our favorite places.
Yeah.
Yeah, prisons are next, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can have fun in prisons.
Yes,
It's like a little switch over when you're in prison.
Well, that's where me and Heather met, actually. We tell everyone we met in prison. We were cellmates.
Right.
Yeah.
You can finish that story.
Yeah, that's our favorite story. So, any fans of Orange is the New Black, whatever,
Yeah.
her husband makes fun of us and he's like, yeah, it's Nikki and Big Boo.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, Missy and I did
We met at
Moundsville State Pen, actually in Red Snyder's cell. So that was our original meeting.
That's the night Heather joined the team.
Yes.
That's when I joined the team.
I did.
What a cool location for starting out.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Trans-Allegheny was my first investigation ever.
Wow.
I went there on a public hunt with friends, and then Moundsville was my second investigation, and then I jumped on board, and it's been history since then.
Right.
And that's actually how the team started. We didn't know like any of this was, you could do any of this stuff. And we saw online one time Trans-Allegheny was doing public ghost hunts. And we're like, yeah, sure, let's go. We saw there was a few teams and, talking to other teams. Oh, wait, you can rent some of it? Like, you can get into some of these buildings? Yeah, sure.
Right.
So we're driving home that night and we're like, all right, now we got to think of a team name. Still City Ghost Hunters.
Love it.
Yeah.
I've heard from more people saying that, they had their team started just out of like group girl trips or, sister trips. I mean, I hear about that more and more, that it's just girls getting together on a girls trip and all of a sudden a team is born.
Yeah,
Right.
that's great. Uh-huh.
So let's talk a little bit about this location. You'd mentioned Fairfield County Infirmary.
That was a great place.
Yes.
So that was a new place for us last year, and one that we were really looking forward to. And she did not let us down. So she was a pretty active building. We actually had seen it on Destination Fear. So, we started Googling, let's see what we can do to get in there. And then we went on, and we'll let Kim talk about her experience.
We were getting like so much activity up where the jail cell is in there. And I was standing at the end of the hall next to the jail cell. There's a door. It's an all glass door that leads out onto a wrought iron fire escape. So I'm dancing around at the door, playing around. Everybody's watching me, and we had the ghost box going, and someone said to push me out the door. Yeah, and we actually captured it. So they said push her, and they yelled, "Get away from the door! Get away from the door!" So I'm like, you see me like shoot through, and I'm like, what? Like to push you, and then we actually caught it. So that was pretty cool.
And I think that's the evidence you've provided, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're gonna set that up now. Let me pull that up. And we'll go right into it. Let's see here. Is this the one? Let's see. Trying to make sure that is the one. Yeah. Okay. I'll go ahead and for some reason it wants to start automatically. Let me.
Can we catch it on a cell phone?
Yeah.
We actually caught that on a cell phone.
Okay.
Kim, get away from the door. Get away from the door.
Wow.
I did hear a pusher. Did you hear? Did you hear? Pusher. Pusher. That's what I heard.
Okay, I'm going to play that again because you can clearly hear that. And I definitely encourage everyone to go back and listen with your headphones, but you can hear that very clear say that. So let me start that over.
Right.
Right there.
Kim, get away from the door. Get away from the door.
We look after each other.
Right.
We don't want to see anybody going out a door, especially a glass one.
Yeah, an all glass door. I'm like just standing there looking out the window. Yeah.
Yeah, that was clearly intelligent and you could tell that they were definitely aware and could see you there. Cause you can hear that through the spirit box as clear as can be.
Right. That whole evening, that floor was just
Nonstop.
It was nonstop. We were getting voices left and right. And I couldn't even remember
The
half the
shadows.
stuff. The shadow play was just amazing. So.
Okay. Is Fairfield, is it nearby? What is that other one that's up there in that area? Is it Madison Seminary? Are they connected, Fairfield and Madison?
They are. So Adam Kimmel owns both buildings. So it's actually fairly close to Prospect. So if you, on our YouTube page from last year's, it's the Spooky Town Tour. No, what was it? Spooky Tour. Yeah. If you look, we did a destination map of where all of the locations were. And what was funny was on the way to Fairfield, I was like, I remember that gas station. But we turned like the other way and it was just random because it was like out in the middle of nowhere, right? So I had recognized the gas station, and sure enough, when we were at Fairfield, she was like, yeah, they're not far from us. They're just the other way. So
okay.
It's not too far from Prospect Place, which is another one of our favorite locations, minus the bats.
Last time we were there, I swear we had a killer bat from hell. No matter what room we were in, this bat followed us. To the point, it busted through ceiling plaster and came into the dining room with us. And then we'd leave that room and go into another room, check for the bat, shut the door, and the next thing you know, the bat's in the room.
I almost feel like we had some doppelganger experience at Prospect Place.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like, I don't know if it was really real in the last room that we were in. I almost feel like it was a doppelganger, like it was playing, they always say that it plays on fear, and, when there is fear involved, then activity is increased. And it wasn't really the paranormal that I was afraid of. It was more of the bats flying over our head. So I like that. Len Dorman, that's amazing.
It was horrible. And this thing was dive. It wasn't just like minding its own business. It was dive bombing our head, to the point where your hair would brush. Like,
We were actually stuck in one area for quite a while. We started yelling for the guy that was with us from another team that was investigating with us that night. We were like, can you please come get this bat so we can get out of here? Like, we literally could not get out of the corridor. It was bad.
Yeah, it was
Now, were you all the ones who were in the Bel Air house video where she just released that had the bat flying around and you all hit the ground?
No. But what's funny is we're actually heading to Bel Air House this weekend.
tomorrow.
For all weekend. So we'll be
Yeah.
there Friday night through Sunday afternoon. So make sure to check out our Facebook page because we will go live all throughout our investigation there. That we've never had two visits alike at Bel Air House. We've always had activity. But I did comment on that on that video and I was like, please tell me you got rid of the bat.
If not, it's going to be the great outdoors, I would say.
Right?
Yeah, there's
Yes.
a Bel Air house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Yes.
kind of start every season if we try to. It's a girls' weekend at the Bel Air house. So right around March, and then that kicks off our season, and we just run all summer.
I got to say that, and that's what I love because the Bel Air house, I mean, that place it's creep-tastic. I mean, it's so cool. And I know for me, I did that one on a girls' trip with this girl Tiffany that I used to investigate with, and we had so much fun. And the investigation was just absolutely wild. And so that's what I found so fascinating whenever we met and was talking to find another group of all females that had spent the night there and had some pretty common experiences. Can we talk a little bit about some of your experiences?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So not last year, we actually didn't do the Bel Air house last year, just because we had some bigger trips planned last year. So we decided this year that we really, really missed the Bel Air house. And we wanted to do our weekend trip for the Bel Air house again. We were actually, we like to do different things when we investigate using different equipment. We do cameras and recorders. Obviously, those are our key ticket items. But then we do dowsing rod sessions. We do use some like the paranormal puck for ITC communication. We do use the periscope just for some light play and to be able to see some different things. So when we walked in that weekend, it was 5 minutes into our investigation and I was seeing 5 like lights flashing and just different things happening, to the point where Missy back here was like, when's the last time you had your eyes checked? I'm like,
It sounds like your retina's detaching.
right? I'm like, 2 months ago, I promise my eyes are fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Like something's going on here. And it happened all weekend. So we were able to actually catch that on video,
Nice.
which I did send to you so that you could play for the audience. But it was flashes of light all weekend. We had audible whistling, like to the point where we were like, what the hell's happening here right now? Like, what is the whistle? Why? Where did it come from?
Live, and the people that were
Oh,
listening actually
yeah.
could hear the whistle. Wow.
Yeah, that was, both of those actually were on our Facebook Live.
Right.
We had quite a following that weekend watching. We had a lot of activity. We've had doors slam there. We've had shadows. Missy watch somebody walk through. Oh yeah, that's right. You and Kim.
Yeah, our first time there, Missy and I were on the porch. You know how they have like the little bay window in the front?
Mhm.
And we're hanging out on the porch, and we actually watched a man walk through the living room.
We thought it was the guy that was on our team. Like he was holding a flashlight and everything. And we're kind of looking at each other and we're following, where he went. And then he's gone. You see him in the foyer, go into the living room, and he's gone. So we open the door and we're hollering like, hey, where are you? To the guy on our team, and no answer. And here he finally answers. He's down in the basement.
Right.
Wow.
everyone was down in the basement. It was just me and her that was upstairs outside.
Right.
So
You watched a full grown man with a flashlight walk right through, and you plain as day, and it was crazy.
So he looked just like a normal person?
Just like a normal person, tall, thin. I think it was like a light blue shirt he had on. It looked like kind of like a button down and slacks. I would say he had like a slick back hair and he had facial hair, but he was holding a flashlight.
Right.
Like you saw
So
the yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
It was pretty neat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you all share a little bit of the history for anyone on here that maybe hasn't ever been to the Bel Air house?
Absolutely. So it is the Hetherington family that was there, and there were coal mines that were actually below the house. There was a coal mine explosion, if I'm not mistaken, and there were many people that had passed in that explosion. So we actually did have a paranormal puck session at that seance table in the dining room. And I asked what was below the house, and it said bodies.
Wow.
So that was on a Facebook Live session as well. On our YouTube channel, there is a full case review on the Bel Air house. And actually, we do have a podcast as well through Anchor that we do. So we actually give the full history of the Bel Air house. We had talked to Kristen about the history prior to, just to make sure that we had everything correct and we weren't, altering anything that was changing there.
Yeah.
So we read a little bit about the history of the Bel Air house. We've talked about a lot of our experiences. And I hate to say this, like we remember the big things, but then the small things, like we forget. So when we do our podcast, we always try to do our podcast close to when we do our investigations so that we can remember. And we kind of got away from that because of COVID. So unfortunately, there haven't been as many. So we will make sure that we do better with that this summer and start getting those podcasts back out after our investigations. But it was the Hetherington family that was there. So Eliza, Jacob, we actually got Jacob quite a few times on the spirit box and the paranormal puck, if I'm not mistaken. The last time that we were there. So we'll definitely be live. We'll do a little bit of the history. We'll do a walkthrough when we get there just to show everybody the house, a little bit about the history, and talk a little bit about that. So make sure you guys jump over to our Facebook page and join us for our lives. We like to, I think we were live like almost all weekend. Oh, yeah.
And all of our equipment was off. All of our drop cams, our drop recorders, everything.
It wasn't anything that could just shut off by itself. You had to push a button or turn it or unplug it, and everything went off.
Yeah, there was like a boom. Like you could actually feel the house shake. And actually, we feel shakes there. When I was reviewing the full case review that we had done, you hear us talking about the floor shaking, and Loie back there likes to shake her leg a lot. So we're like, Loie, are you shaking? Like we're looking under the table, and she's like, it's not me this time, I swear. And literally the entire floor was shaking underneath us. But the house literally, it sounded like it exploded. And we were on Facebook Live when that happened too. We were like, what is happening right now?
Where we all booked down the steps.
Yeah.
Barreling down the stairs.
Yes, he was.
I knew that there was knives in the kitchen. It's a fully stocked house. Kitchen knives, come on.
Let's go.
Someone definitely broke in.
Yeah, we really thought somebody broke into the house. It was loud. It was everybody on Facebook heard it. They were like, oh my God, are you girls okay? Like, is everything all right? And, people were actually physically worried about us because we thought somebody else was in the house. And then we get down there and we're on Facebook Live and we're like, every single camera right now, guys, done.
Off, everything.
Completely turned off. Recorders stopped. Everything. It was crazy. That that house, like I said, there's no 2 investigations
No.
alone there. It's different stuff every time we're there. And sometimes it's a little much.
And that's what I was going to say, because I know when I went there the first time, of course, it was my first investigation with Tiffany. And so we were so excited to get there. And it was almost like as we were getting started, we went in, we did the daytime tour. And of course, it was getting pretty late, but we did the daytime tour when we got there. And then we went over to Gula's and ate. And then it almost seemed like every time that we went to try to go back in, that we were like distracting ourselves for some reason to go in there, and like, oh, well, let's go get something to cook for breakfast the next morning. Let's go get some toys for, the kids. It just seemed like there was always something that was distracting us.
Right.
Right. I always find, and I think it's so funny, that huge house, we find ourselves sitting around that table
Yes.
constantly. I'm like, you guys want to go upstairs and investigate? No, we're good. No,
Let's sit at the table.
We sit at that table nonstop, and it's like, why aren't we? And it happens every time. It's almost like you have to force yourself to get up and go upstairs.
Yeah.
Yes. We had the same thing. We were sitting there, and we would find at times the 2 of us would almost sit there and just kind of stare off. At one point, we thought we were even asleep and that we were in a dream world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Missy, actually, we were sitting at the table the one time. It was like a pretty significant thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got the hair pulled?
Yes, you got to talk about that.
We were all sitting right there. There was another team with us.
Mm-hmm.
And my hair got tugged so hard, it pulled me back, pulled my chair back, that like my knees popped up and hit the table.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Something was playing with her hair, and she kept saying, "Are you playing with my hair? Stop." And the next thing you know, she went flying backwards.
Wow.
And then how about the attic?
You got scratched
When you
last
got
year.
scratched
Or that.
2 years ago up in the attic.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about that? Do you remember?
Well, I wouldn't let them put that on live because it was on my stomach.
No.
Turn the camera away.
Yeah. She
You know.
got scratched up in the attic.
You just kept feeling the heat.
Yeah.
Getting worse and worse. And I'm like, all right, that happened to me once before. I know this feeling. Oh, shit. Sorry. Yeah, I had a little scratch here on my stomach.
Yeah. So it was in that closet when you first come up the attic steps, right there around the bend. And we kept hearing, it sounded like a mouse. We kept hearing these squeaks. And during the daytime, we had actually split up and we all went into separate rooms. And we were doing some Estes method with the spirit box, but it wasn't really the Estes method. Nobody had headphones on. I was upstairs in the attic by myself, and the other 3 were downstairs on the first floor spread out, or on the second floor spread out. And whatever it was not real happy with me. I don't remember what they said on that. It's definitely in our full case review, but they weren't real happy with me.
Right.
But it was fine. So I kept hearing this squeak, and I'm like, what is that noise? Like, it sounds like a mouse. So I'd get up and I'd walk, I'd move the furniture so I could see if there was a mouse. I'm looking in all of the crawl spaces to see if I see any like mouse poop or any signs of a mouse. There was no signs of any animals up there at all. Now, hopefully there's no signs of bats, because we're going to be in trouble. But we kept hearing these squeaks, and then so later that night, we all went up together as a team. Actually, I think Missy and I started up there by ourselves, and these 2 were down on the first floor in the basement, one of the 2. We don't often do the basement, so we need to make it a better, yeah. But we were up there, and like you could just feel the energy in that closet. So when I went in, it was almost like it pushed the entity out. And that's when Missy had gotten scratched right outside of that closet. So we'll have to see.
My best friend got me scratched.
Right.
Rude.
We were at the same time, we were all split up, and we were all, kind of lounging in the bedroom, separated. we left the spirit box in the hallway, just running, like pretty much for like 45 minutes. And intelligent enough, there was a male and a female just talking back and forth. At one point, we actually captured it saying, the girls, ghost hunters, they're sleeping. Like, because we were all laying down, and a couple of us did doze off. So they were having a conversation and, mentioned the fact that we were there and we weren't leaving and that we were all sleeping. So that was pretty neat.
Very cool. We had something like that happen with, it was two men talking, and it was in that room with the stairs that goes up to the attic. So we're going to play that piece of evidence that you all have that you sent from the Bel Air house. Does somebody want to set that up for us?
You send it to me?
Yes. I sent that to you. Do you want me to pull it up here?
No, just kind of set it up as to what was going on.
So actually, this is a split screen, just so you can see where the entire team is. So we're trying to do better about making sure that we have cameras set up so that you can see all angles. So on the left-hand side is actually the second floor. So Missy and I are on the second floor. On the right-hand side of the screen is Kim and Loie down at the infamous table where we never like to leave. And we had it started with, like I said, the flashes of light, and then moved to the whistling throughout the night. So if you watch and listen, you can't miss what's happening here.
Okay. And I'll definitely play it twice. Okay.
So, did you hear that? Was that you guys? Kim? No. That wasn't you whistling? No. You're kidding me. Did you hear it?
That loud one?
Yes.
I thought that was down here.
So, did you hear that? Was that you guys?
It was loud upstairs too.
Kim? No. That wasn't you whistling? No. You're kidding me. Did you hear it?
That loud one?
Yes.
I thought that was down here.
So
wow.
So what's playing in the background is actually the paranormal puck. And it actually, what happens is if there's temperature changes, light changes, things like that. So it was going off because of the candles that were on the table. So that which was kind of annoying, was actually the light flickering and the temperature changes that were happening from the candle on the table. But that whistle, we were on Facebook Live. So the left screen was the Facebook Live. The right screen was the stationary camera that we had downstairs. And it was pretty, it was really loud upstairs for people. You heard us. We're like, is that you guys?
Yeah.
And Kim actually was having problems with her voice at that point, which is why she had Loie yell up. Because she must have been trying to say it and it wasn't coming out. So
yeah, I didn't have a voice for like 4 months. So.
Yeah. So that was probably one of the better pieces of evidence that we've ever caught. It was so loud and it was mimicking what we were doing.
Okay.
So it was crazy because we had been talking about the whistling and on Facebook Live, we were like, listen, this is what we've heard all night. And, we would just continue to investigate, and sure enough, it happened again, but it was really loud. So we were like, yes, we finally got it. And it was great because we did have that, we were able to do that split screen so you guys could see what everyone was doing at the same time. So
yeah, and that's an awesome catch, especially when you can show it from two different vantage points and then being able to capture it on a live, because it's so rare sometimes to capture that stuff on lives.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about all the time, like the personal experiences that we have. So what we're able to put out as evidence is not always anywhere close to what we've experienced when you're on an investigation. And that place is one that we're able to actually take our time and be able to set equipment up strategically just because we're there all weekend. So in that full case review that's on our YouTube page, you'll see like there's two of us, actually, I think it was Loie and myself. There was audio or visual, like goosebumps, hair standing on end, and one side's good, the other side's not, you know? So you can actually feel that. So when we were able to actually show that to everyone, it was really cool. So Bel Air House is one of our favorite locations to investigate.
And I definitely understand why, because I mean, it is so unique, and definitely something that a place that I like to go. So I always love hearing other people. So you guys, if you want to watch them do their live this weekend, what time is it going to start, ladies? Do you know?
We're going to get there around 4:00. So we'll probably get unloaded, start to get equipment unloaded, things like that. And we'll probably do a walkthrough probably between 5 and 6. And we'll just go live periodically, especially if we start to get things that are really happening, we'll pop on. So make sure you go on our Facebook page and say, yes, notify me when they're going live, because it might be 3:00 in the morning when we go live. So it'll just be when that activity is actually picking up. So
yeah, so definitely, if you guys watching, go like their Facebook page, put on the notifications to get their live, because if you enjoy watching live investigations, then you definitely want to check out this weekend's live that they're doing at the Bel Air House, because they're a lot of fun to watch, and it is a very active location. So check that out. And then also, as they said, on YouTube, we do have a question over here that D Hoot asked. She asked, will you post it after the live on your YouTube?
So yeah, we try to, what we do is we break that live down to pull the evidence out of there. And then we try to post those full case reviews. So my husband's actually the one that does all of our videos, because I am not tech savvy like that. That's 100% his job. But he works a lot during the summer because he works for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So what we're trying to do is release one a month throughout the winter. But what we do like to do is what we call our spirited reviews, which are just short clips that we're able to post. So I do want to, once we get some of that good evidence, we'll start posting those spirited reviews, and then post that full case throughout the winter.
Okay, so you don't download the actual live from Facebook and repost it, but you snip it down, correct?
Yeah, and it's not a bad idea. We could actually probably download those and post those on YouTube so that you guys can watch those later. So that shouldn't be a problem. I'll make the tech guy do that.
No, I know that a couple folks on here that watch the show, they don't have Facebook, and so they watch it strictly on YouTube. So just a thought, I guess.
Yeah, so
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
I like that idea. And help us out if you can spread the word about our YouTube page to get us back up and moving. We'd like to be able to do some lives on YouTube as well. So we need to get that following back up there so that we're able to go live on YouTube too. So
I have that same problem. I'm sitting like 20 short of 1,000 to be able to go live on YouTube. So I have the same problem. I go live on Facebook there, and then I download it and I post it on there, because I'm like 20 short from that number to be able to go live.
Oh, that's awesome though. Yeah.
yeah.
You'll get there.
Eventually, one day. So this group of locations up here, are these the ones that you have coming up this year?
Yes. So I was pulling up the dates so I don't screw any dates up here. But so Bel Air House is March 11th through the 13th. Then we'll be heading over to Fairfield County Infirmary on April 2nd. Then headed over to Ohio State Reformatory on May 8th. then Greenville Manor on June 4th. And then Crescent, you'll see at the bottom that SCI Crescent, we finally did secure our date for July 15th. So that one right now, for sure, we have the sanatorium, the chapel, and a couple of other buildings. But pending on the other team, we may be able to flop halfway through the night and actually be able to do the whole location. So we're hopeful that that team wants to do that as well. And then we'll be closing out the, far destinations with the Heyman House in Sutton, West Virginia on August 20th. Right after August, we typically we work with a local museum here right outside of Pittsburgh, the Depreciation Lands Museum, and we do their October lantern tours for them. So we kind of entertain the masses for their lantern tours. So we like to do several investigations there to get some new evidence and things for the people to see. So I think we kind of underestimated that location.
Oh, yeah.
from what we got last year. It was crazy.
And when they brought all the
Missy, you got to talk up.
the Civil War things, right?
Yeah.
The Civil War reenactment.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then on the ghost box, you heard, "Get down on the ground, hide."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can the public join on those lantern tours that you do?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they do a different theme every year. Last year, what was the theme?
Witches, isn't it?
I think it was witches. Yeah. So they told different stories. So they do a mix of kind of the real history to it while they do like the lantern tour, right?
They do skits. Like they all dress in period clothing.
Mm-hmm.
They are the characters that they create and they stay in character they're just amazing. They're funny, they're entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
There's children from 5 years old to like 70 years old.
Yeah.
They go
Mm-hmm.
and you call it's like what $5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's super cheap. Super cheap.
It's beautiful.
The chapel,
The whole entire property.
yeah, there's a chapel, an old schoolhouse, like an old style schoolhouse, a log cabin, a newer building. Then they had like a general store, and it all surrounds a cemetery. So, yeah, it's actually a really cool place.
You want to tell them a little bit about what we did with the cemetery last year on the Estes method?
Ooh.
We usually focused on the chapel, the log cabin, and the schoolhouse. Those were our main activity. But they asked us this year to kind of focus on the cemetery to see if we got anything from there. And wow, like
Yeah, wow, that's right.
It's really hard because it's on a main drag, so traffic runs all night long. But we were doing the Estes method, and Heather and Missy had taken turns, doing the listening, led us to specific graves by name and by dates, and it was
Go left, keep going straight, left, right.
Yes,
turn at this tombstone, turn here, and then Heather would say the name, and that was the name that was on that tombstone.
right. It was we recorded. We had that all on recording,
And to the point where Missy thought like I could see where they were, but literally I was facing traffic and the tombstones were this way. So she was like, really? Like, how this can't be real.
right? Right.
And the date that we got from the one tombstone, we literally had to Google it because we were like, what is going on? The tombstone was so worn. We actually had water, like bottled water, splashing on the tombstone so that we could see what it said. And funny enough, all of the tombstones that we did pick out, the museum didn't have a whole lot of history on.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of cool to see that.
Right.
And I can tell you the only 2 times that I've ever been scratched have happened there in the log cabin.
Right. And Missy had actually saw my doppelganger
Mhm.
there as well. She thought she was going to scare me, and she scared herself.
And I was walking through the graveyard, and I saw him inside the log cabin. I said, "Oh, this is it. This is my chance." Swing the door open. I'm like, "Wow!" No one's there. I'm walking. I look. I was like, "We're getting out of here."
So I hear her yelling, and I can see her walking through the cemetery, come back where we were, and we were taking a break, and she starts yelling. I'm like, "Why? Where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm up here." Like, but she clearly saw me in the building, and then we went down right after that, and Heather got a handprint right on her back.
It was not even. It was my husband.
He was
Robert
on.
Mahoney.
Oh, hi.
He said the cabin gives me
Oh yeah, the cabin gives out bad feelings. Yes, it does.
Yeah, he's been us a few times.
Yeah. We were actually doing some videoing to make the depreciation lands just a video for them to kind of put out the lantern tours. And the deacon is one that's said to haunt this location. So Loie, of course, has this leather jacket in her car or whatever. So Bobby puts it on, and we were just screwing around in the chapel at that point. We still have recorders and stuff going, but we were joking around, right? And he like pulls his pant legs up underneath and like closes the jacket. And he's doing the whole Magic Mike thing, right? Like being a goofball. And Loie was sitting next to me. They have an old pew in there. And there was a nail sticking out of the pew, and this one gets stuck with the nail in the butt. And we're joking about it. And the only two men that were with us were my husband and her husband. Her husband was downstairs in the bathroom. Bobby was up front. And we were like, was it you that said, I don't know, there was a couple people. Somebody said, "Did you hear that?" And it was a disembodied voice.
I was standing in the middle. They were on my right, and Missy was on my left.
Mm-hmm.
They were separated. Both sets of people heard it. I heard nothing. And strange.
This one doesn't hear anything. Like she always, like, we joke about it, right? She heard it. She was sitting right next to me on the bench. She heard it loud and clear. I heard nothing. And we were like, okay, wait, this doesn't make any sense. So Missy's like, does somebody have a recorder going? Like, let's go back and look. And what did they're still here. So it recognized that we were still, it was definitely not residual. It was definitely an intelligent spirit, but it was like, why are they still here? You know? But it was funny because it was a male's voice, and we're like, okay, late at night, we do kind of sound like men, but it was none of us. So that place we've definitely underestimated. It's a good time. So if you are near the Pittsburgh area, please come out to the Depreciation Lands Museum for their lantern tours. They do a great job every year. We'll post all of our evidence for the masses to see at the Depreciation Lands Museum. So make sure to stop out.
They do different things all year too.
Yeah.
They do reenactments. They,
Yeah, musket gun making classes.
Yeah. Like basket weaving. Like they just do a bunch of different things, and it's just a great place to go.
Yeah.
Hang out with your family. So
It is.
Very cool. And so as far as your lives with these other, or not lives, but your investigations with these other places, are you going to be going live at all of them?
Oh yeah.
Anytime we can. The only time we don't go live, Fairfield was a little sketchy with Wi-Fi. We definitely wanted to do a live in the basement down there, but we weren't able to go live very well down in the basement there. But I think we need to throw somebody lone soldier up in the jail cell, the superintendent. He's said to not like females. So we did do a little instigating before Kim almost got pushed out the door. We hit him pretty hard, but so yeah, I think
you gotta respect females.
Right.
He didn't.
He did not. We just kind of told him about himself.
There you go.
So I think we should throw a lone soldier up there for 30, 45 minutes. Do it live.
I think that'd be fun.
Yes. Yeah. Are you pointing at me?
I pointed at Kim.
Oh, okay. Usually I'm the sucker that gets thrown in the live somewhere. So
Sometimes I'm the rough one, where I'll get pushy. Yeah.
she gets mean.
I do. Sorry. I guess I'm the Jack Bacon's of the group. I get a little testy now and then.
Right?
We were at Prospect one time that we had a cat ball, a little tiny cat ball, and it lights up when you touch it. And this little thing was going off. And it wasn't going off in sequence like questioning. It was just going off. And I finally got mad when I snatched the ball. It's my toy, damn it, I'm taking it back. And one of the guys that was with us said, "Are you out of your mind?" I was like, "Yeah. If they're not going to play, they're not going to play right." I was getting angry at that point.
Literally I'm taking my ball and going home.
There's always that one on the team.
Yeah, that's me.
So D Hoot asks, have any of you ever brought anything home with you?
So one and only location that I will not go back to is Hinsdale House. It was
we had no idea what we were walking in on. It was brand new.
Yeah. It was a night that
it was actually just airing on what was that Nick Rock show? Paranormal Lockdown.
Yes,
It was
Paranormal
just airing
Lockdown.
that night.
So they were there before we were. We saw the signatures and stuff on the wall, and we were there the night that it aired. And when I came home the next day, I come home, take my clothes off, throw them in the middle of the hall to go downstairs. I go upstairs, hop in the shower if I have the energy. If not, I go straight to bed. We came home from the Hinsdale house and I went up to bed. I had my recorder in bed, listening to my EVPs, watching my videos. Like, I could not go to sleep, but we all started texting that morning because the Hinsdale house was on Paranormal Lockdown. So we're all watching where we just investigated all night. None of us could sleep.
And it was like a 7-hour drive. So
yes.
It wasn't like it was, hop, skip, and jump in your home. So it was exhausting. And we were just all up and wired.
Yeah. So that night, my husband and daughter love to have background noise constantly. So there's always a radio or a TV or whatever on. And I kind of like that time to bring it down. So my husband had gone up to bed. My daughter was already in bed. I turned the TV off on the first floor. I was downstairs doing laundry and literally I was spinning in circles. I felt like Reagan from The Exorcist at this point. I'm trying to fold the dryer, spinning in circles because I just felt like something was with me. Something was watching me. And no matter which way I turned, then it felt like it was somewhere else. So Missy and I had experienced some pretty nasty stuff on that second floor. Do you want to tell them about what we experienced up there?
Well, no, there was 3 of us at first.
Mm-hmm.
So it was me, Heather, and Nikki. And the way that the bedroom was set up was I was sitting next to the entry door, and you and Nikki were sitting facing the door.
Correct.
So at that time, they had seen something come in a little. You explain what you saw.
It almost was like the size of a raccoon. It was like a small animal, a little bit bigger than a cat, not quite a dog size. And it wasn't, I can't say it was a raccoon, but it was animal sized. And we literally watched it come up the steps. And I said to Nikki at the time, I was like, do you see that? And she's like, second step down. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, and then I'm like, okay, now it's up here with us. And then you could literally see it blur out the baseboards. And then that's when
I caught it on a different angle to where I could actually see the full figure. And like Heather said, there was the baseboards, and the way the moon was lighting the room, you could actually see like the legs, you know, like the baseboard between the legs. And I just see them going back and forth, back and forth. And the one thing we said that we weren't going to do, I did. I called it out. I just said, you know, well, why are you hiding in the shadows? And then Miranda, all of a sudden, the room just went black. This thing just ran up on me. And I mean, we did get a funny clip out of that.
Yeah, you just see 3 hungry asses in a doorway and somebody's like, go. And listen, the last time they told us to run, like, and this one almost knocked me out. So I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not last out of this door. I'm first out this door.
When we first got there, as soon as I entered that house, I left. I went outside. I got sick. So I didn't do the tour at all. And then you all did the tour.
Nikki got sick too. She went outside.
She made it to the living room and then she got sick. I made it to the second floor and we were in the main room, which was the parents' room.
While she went into, there was like a kind of walk-in closet, and she walked in and kind of came out, but was standing in the closet door. And I'm watching this massive shadow hover behind her. And I'm just watching to see if she had a reaction. And the next thing you know, I don't feel good. I got to go. And she took off and she went outside.
Like I felt like it was like pushing me back against the wall, and then I'd feel like it was pushing me forward. And later in the night, I actually went back in there to see, you know, like, what are you doing? And it felt like something was pulling on my jeans, like right below my butt. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and I couldn't stay in that closet for more than 30 seconds to a minute. That place was one that
we first got there. We weren't even set up yet. The people had just left. We're getting our equipment out. We're in the living room. We're all chit-chatting about what we're going to do, where we're going to start, because it's a very small building. You can't have more than, you know, we had six.
We had 6 of us then.
We had 6, and that was pushing
too many.
Yeah, it was pushing it. Popcorn kernels started bouncing across the living room floor. No idea where they were coming from.
We were doing baseline readings. We had the millimeter,
Yeah.
just doing a baseline just to see where electricity was, things like that. And Nikki and I were together in the living room, and all of a sudden, like, I hear this ting ting. I'm like, what the hell was that, guys? Like,
Yeah.
we had nothing on, literally just doing baselines. And then you hear another one come across, and it hits Nikki in the back of the leg. And we're like, what is going on? Like, what is this? So then, you know, one of the other members came in and was like, all right, calm down, guys. Like, let's get a recorder going. Let's get a camera going. And you can literally hear these little kernels of corn hitting the floor. And we were like, okay, so where's this coming from? So we look up in the ceiling. There's nothing coming from there. There's nothing on the floor. So the kernels, there were 5 of them, I think, total, because we took pictures of them. We picked them up off the floor, the ones that were thrown, and we just set them on the dresser so that we could see if they were moved for the rest of the night. Nothing else happened down there. Well, not until Loie went to sleep.
We were all sleeping.
Yeah.
The place is so small that if you're whispering downstairs, you'll hear it upstairs.
Mhm.
So, and it's an old, it's an old farmhouse, and it's like just old to the point when they came barreling down the stairs after the shadow incident, they were shaking so bad the whole entire house was shaking. Like, I was like, oh guys, like, calm down, like, just relax. Because, you know, that's how tiny the house is. We had decided we never sleep during an investigation unless we're going to be there, you know, for an extensive amount of time, but we want to investigate the entire time. So by midnight, whatever it was, we were all so drained that we decided we needed to lay down and go to sleep, which was crazy because we never do. And not only that, the place was scary as hell. And yeah, let's go to sleep. But
Why not? Let's make us more vulnerable.
But we were like, it just sucked the life and the energy completely out of you on a level that was like beyond me before then. And we're downstairs, so it's me, Loie, and another girl, and these two, and one of the guys was upstairs in separate rooms. These two were in the same room, and he picked a different room. And we're doing that whole Waltons thing. And I'm John Boy, and I mean, like, you know, couldn't hear them. It was like vapor.
It was like a block
barrier
between the two floors.
They're upstairs giggling. I'm yelling from downstairs, don't make me come up there. You know, laugh. We couldn't hear each other. It was like
nothing.
They couldn't hear us. We couldn't hear, like, they couldn't hear us yelling. We couldn't hear them yelling back at us. It was like a block. Like there was some kind of just complete block. Which was like, can you hear me? And they're like, no, we didn't hear you at all. And then there was one room when you go up the steps. And the steps don't have a landing like a normal stairway. So when you go up the steps from the kitchen, it hits a wall. So you have to step off the steps into this bedroom or off the steps into this bedroom. And the one bedroom on the right, all night long, none of us would go in there. Mm-hmm. And it was weird because it was like, is anybody going to go in there? No, I'm good. No, I'm good. It was just like we avoided it like the plague. So while we were sleeping, these two were upstairs, like I said, sharing a bed. There was like 3 couches downstairs.
Well, she started on the couch, and then she was like, oh, no, move over. I'm getting in bed.
Right. Right. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta do
She had the safe spot in the bed. She was against the wall.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, straight up, hoodie over my head. I had a little breathing spot for my nose. That was it.
We get situated, and you can hear boots coming up the steps. I was like, okay, you know, where's this going? And we had a camera set up at the end of our bed on both me and Heather. And the camera shuts off. You hear it, the ting ting shuts off. And we're both on our stomachs, and we're on, she's on my right side, I'm on her left. And my right leg gets pulled up. Now, remind you, I'm on my stomach. I'm not that flexible. So my right leg gets pulled up and dropped. So I took my left foot, and I'm playing with my calf, and my foot bumps her foot. And we both said at the same time, my leg was just lifted. So, and then right after that, the room that Kim was talking about, the room to the right of the steps that none of us went into, there was a light coming out of there. So I thought it was the guy that was on our team. You know, I made a joke. I said, are you scared in there? He said, no. And I was like, well, turn off your flashlight then. He was like, I don't have it on. So I look back, and it's coming out of that bedroom, not the bedroom. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? It's like Christmas Eve night. The quicker I go to sleep, quicker Santa Claus comes, like quicker I go to sleep, quicker we're getting out of here. So I put my head back up, and I'm laying this way, and Heather's on my right side. And she says to me, don't worry, it's just Lucy. And I turn and I look at her, and I said, who? And I'm looking at her, and she said, it's just Lucy. Now, remind you, I didn't do the tour, so I know nothing, no names, nothing. So I said, okay, we go to sleep. We all woke up about 45 minutes to an hour later. And first words out of my mouth to her was, well, who's Lucy? She's looking at me like
she had 7 heads.
And me and her actually got into an argument about this. I'm like, Heather, I watched you. You told me it was just Lucy. So at that point, I'm like, I'm pissed. I'm going back, and I'm going to play the recorder. And you hear the boots coming up the steps. You hear our cameras turn off, us reacting to our legs, me reacting to the light, but you don't hear her tell me it's just Lucy.
Right.
So that still boggles me, because I'm like, you told me that. I heard you. You said it 2 times, and I watched you say it the second time. Where is that evidence?
Right. And the crazy thing was, when we first got there, one lady was insisting that she had a book with all the evidence in it. Like, teams write our evidence. What did you guys do? We didn't touch it. We just got here. Like, what are you talking about? And she kept saying, well, it was here. It was on the table. And, you guys are here, and now it's gone. We're like, it wasn't like she was accusing us, but it was almost kind of like one of you had to touch it because it was just here. Well, we never found it. And so after we woke up, I'm watching, we had a stationary camera on us girls that were in the living room. And on the stationary camera, we actually caught I was on this couch, Loie was on the back couch, and Nikki was on the other couch. You caught the shadow, lift up Loie's leg, just like it did the girls upstairs.
But you actually see Loie's jeans get lifted.
Yeah, you see her jeans come up.
You see them turn into a point. Then it comes around the back of the couch where Loie was, and it pops into the film and pops back out twice. So while they're arguing, I'm watching evidence on my camera. Caught that, was excited about that.
Heads up, we're gonna have a cat here.
They're arguing.
In a second. Come here, baby.
They're arguing. I told you she'd get heavy. They're arguing about it.
Aw.
Oh, kitty. So they're getting heated. Like, it's like, okay, girls, calm down.
And we don't fight. Like,
We never fight.
No.
Nikki, actually, one of the other girls that was hunting with us, found the book underneath a case of water. So we don't know how it got there, but it was underneath a case of water. She went to move it and found the book.
It wasn't our case of water.
She's sitting there going through the book. And sure enough, all through the evidence book is the name Lucy. Nobody knows who Lucy is. Nobody.
We reached out to Tim Shaw.
Well, that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And hopefully they did find out who Lucy is by now, or, have better evidence on her, but yeah.
We didn't know then. So
Heather had reached out to multiple people that, are affiliated with the house.
We reached out to the Dandies themselves, and they had no idea. I reached out to Tim Shaw. He spends a lot of time in that house. He had no idea who Lucy was. I'd reached out to Amy Perry Lane. She had no idea, had never experienced a Lucy. So we still can't explain that one. We actually need to clip that down and post that as a spirited review, because we didn't see that Loie's leg had been lifted in that clip until 2 years ago?
Yeah. Because we were way after we were there.
Yeah, we were actually talking. I think we were talking about it on a podcast actually. And that's when we started going back, and we were like, oh my God, like, wait, you can actually see her leg lift. She had no idea. I mean, she sleeps in the oddest places, embalming rooms, wherever.
Loie doesn't care.
She just sleeps. It's fine. And it was just odd because we were like, oh my God, wait, Loie's leg got lifted too. We didn't see it until years later when we were going back to review stuff, and we were like, oh my God, like, this is exactly what happened to me and Missy upstairs. So we're definitely going to have to clip that. Bobby, if you're still on, make that a priority.
Lucy you were very uneasy after we got back as well, weren't you?
Same thing. I couldn't sleep. I just wanted to review all my evidence, and I reviewed it twice. I'm listening to my recorder as I'm watching, Paranormal Lockdown. I'm like,
it became an obsession.
When we left, how many times did we put the brakes on? We're like, we don't want to leave.
Yeah.
But we want to leave, but we don't.
Like, we wanted to know what it was. And then even when we got home, we actually drove Loie's car. I drove the whole way home. Me and Missy fought the whole way home. Actually, it was more like angry face. Miss, I know you said Lucy. Rewind, play. Rewind, play. I'm like, I didn't say Lucy. Like, I don't know who the hell Lucy is, but I didn't say it. So she and I fought the whole way home. These two were in the back sleeping. And then I always park at Missy's house because I'm the furthest one away. So I always park at Missy's house. So they drop us off. I get out, I pull into our driveway. Kim gets in Loie gets in the driver's seat to drive back home. And she got to Kim's house to drop Kim off, and her check engine light came on. And I missed that car. She does. She does too. And literally they never could figure out what was wrong with her car. And that's one of the things that's said to happen at the Hinsdale house is car trouble. People get into accidents.
Yeah. We followed our other teammate, and nothing, just a normal ride. As soon as we got on this property, his taillights are flashing?
He had a brand new car.
Yeah.
Like, I think he had like 60 miles on his car when we left.
We were
like when we
what
got
is he doing?
getting him to
Like,
leave.
and it wasn't flashers. It
Mhm.
was
Like the brake light, like flickering on and off. And we were like, that's odd. And we didn't notice that until after we got home either. And it was literally just somebody, whoever's not driving or whatever, holds a camera out the window so we can get, video of us pulling up and stuff like that. And that's where this video came from. So we were like, that doesn't make any sense. How did this, that place is one that, so to a really long answer to your question, yes, that's the only place I've ever felt like I brought something home, was that place. And honestly, it's a weird connection. Like, as soon as we got home, I'm like, I just want to get in my car and drive back up there right now and see what this is. And then honestly, it was all of the, it was on My Haunted House or whatever, which they kind of overplayed that one, but I had that one recorded. I had the Paranormal Lockdown episode recorded. I would not delete them from my DVR. Like, it was an obsession. I reread the Dandy book. Clara Dandy wrote a book on the house. I must have read that book 18 times.
And it's not the experiences that I experienced there that doesn't make me want to go back, or should I say it's not like, the leg liftings. It's
right.
Whatever that feeling was, I've never felt that before, and I did not like it. That's why I won't go back.
It's almost like it's not human. And the things that happen to us, like, I mean, we've seen shadows. We've had footsteps run up on us. Missy's thought I was possessed multiple times.
Missy's gotten scratched quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
She's gotten touched. She's gotten scratched where it lasted a week.
Like, so that kind of stuff doesn't scare us. It's just whatever is in that house. It honestly, I don't think it's human. I don't know what it is. I can't say that for sure. And literally, friends of ours were there the next weekend with their team, and they got nothing. It was completely dead.
Another team that we used to hunt with all the time, they went there, and that was their last investigation. They all quit. Every single one of them just quit. Said, I'm not doing this no more. They're done. So yeah, it's an experience. I'd like to go back only because I have that pull, like she's talking about. Like, it gets to be an obsession. I want to go back just to see what's going to happen. What is that? Show me something else. Because I saw the shadow hovering over one of the other team members too. They kept insisting something was blocking the light. I'm like, no, I'm looking right at it. There's nothing there. When I turned my head and looked at them, well, the mask was standing right in front of them. So I said, let's get to stand right in front of you. You couldn't see through it. It was, I would go back. I think Logan would go back. Girls wouldn't go back, but it did. It sucked us in. Like, it's a weird, Bel Air's like that for me as well.
Yes.
I guess some people call it Little Hinsdale.
They do call it Little Hinsdale.
Because it has that pull.
Mm-hmm.
But it has the push too. Like you said, you're making every excuse not to go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But it has that pull for us, I think, too.
It just has that weird, and it's different every time you go in. Like, you can walk in that door one time. We might go outside, walk around, take some pictures, come back in, and it feels different again. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, Hinsdale was a lot like that. It's not your normal. I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't say. It's just, I don't know. It's just a different place.
We hit a lot of the same places frequently, just because they're close. Mm-hmm. We enjoy them. They have activity. We know we're going to get something. And even if not, we still have fun anyway. Mm-hmm. Most of them have kind of a steady feel to them, to mm-hmm. where your comfort level. Sometimes you get a little off feeling, but that place was just a whole different level. Like, you said, it's just, you go to your local places that you like and your frequented places that you like, and you get comfortable with the noises and what's going to happen and what you expect from it. Those two places are just like completely different. So I think that's the pull. I think that's part of the draw.
I mean, there's days that, we've gone into different rooms at the Bel Air house and it's like you hit a brick wall and there's nothing there. Like you just physically can't walk into that room.
It happened to me in that room where the stairs go up in the attic.
Yep.
I literally was pinned against the wall. I couldn't move. I had one of the other girls call them to come get me because I just froze. And I never get scared. I don't run, I don't scream, and I don't get scared. But I couldn't move. I was just trapped. And my feet wouldn't move. I couldn't talk, like I couldn't yell. I was smacking the other girl, like, and pointing for them to, for her to call them because they were downstairs to come up. And by the time they got upstairs, it was gone. It was the strangest thing.
And me, I just laugh. So like if something's happening, we were at Moundsville the one time, and we were standing back at the end of the third floor, which is where your like the infirmary was, and the medical ward, and they had the Looney Tunes up there. So it was playing games with us that night. We'd hear tinks and knocks and stuff down one end, and we're on the other end. So I finally said, like, okay, I'm going to separate myself. And then I was like, come on, Looney Tunes, come out and play. Just being a jerk at this point, right? So it's just us girls up there, and all of a sudden you hear the dental door slam. And he's like, oh, and she's jumping on somebody else's back. And I'm like, are you girls all right? Because I'm down at the other end by myself. And they're like, no, this door just slammed really hard. Yeah, it was a big metal door. And then we went on down the hallway, and I was standing at the end, and I kept hearing that door move. And I'm like, what is going on? So I walked down there, and so Missy came down. I was like, Missy, come down here. Like, can you hear this? And I'm of course laughing because it's affecting me. And she's like, can I get somebody else down here with me? And then all of a sudden you hear like something just pulled that door across the cement, and it was like, and literally I look like one of those cartoon characters because Missy was like, go. And I'm like, no, I want to stay. No, I want to go. No, I want to stay. And so I'm like back and forth. So you see my legs like, did you?
Fred Flintstone feet.
It was definitely Fred Flintstone feet. So this one thinks I'm possessed often because when things start to affect me, I laugh. She gets angry.
I get quiet. I'm like, I just want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the yeller. When they get scratched or something, I'm the one that yells, how dare you, blah, 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 who do you think you are? You don't have a touch. I'm like the yeller.
You've never been scratched, have you?
I dare it to scratch me. If you scratch somebody, scratch me. No, nothing. I got my hair tugged in Moundsville once, and that was it. But other than that, I don't get nothing. So I yelled at him, like, you're gonna scratch somebody, scratch me, and I scratched them.
Do you think that it affects different because you are a all-female team? Do you think that you get different stuff than some of these other maybe mixed gender teams?
So sometimes I think we do, sometimes I think we don't. Just like at Fairfield, they said that the superintendent didn't like females, right? So I'm a former corrections officer, so you're not going to play games with me, right? So, we kind of put him in his place, and then obviously he wanted to push Kim out the window or out the door, but so sometimes I feel like it does. But sometimes I feel like it doesn't too, because we're not that I'm afraid.
Yeah.
90% of the time. There are Trans Allegheny scares me a little. It's my favorite place, but it
That's
scares
really-
me a little.
It's a little big.
Well, I had my oh shit moment. Like,
It's very easy to get lost in. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, it's the only time I was ever like, damn. Just to, you've been there before?
That's one of the places I've not been.
Oh, it's amazing. Go for the day tour and then do the haunt at night. The day tour is well worth it.
Yeah.
There's seclusion cell doors where the hardened, criminally insane were held, and they're thick metal doors. They're heavy metal doors. And Loie, I, and another girl were down at the very end, the end of the hall, one way in, one way out, and you had to go past these doors. And we heard probably 50 men screaming bloody murder. And I'm like, is there people? I'm looking out the window thinking, like, is there a riot or something? And it was in there. And I'm like, that's inside. And Loie kept saying she heard something out in the hall, and I couldn't hear anything. When I went to walk out in the hall to see if anybody was out in the hall, and the seclusion doors, bang, I'm slammed shut. I jumped. Like, whatever shut them doors could have knocked one of us clean down the hall.
Yeah.
And every time I went to go out the door, another one would slam shut. So all the way to the point there, all the way to the door where we were. And I told them, I said, we got to go. And then one of the girls we were with, she was like bawling. She's like, I can't. I'm like, just go. Don't run because I ain't running. I said, just go. So we scooted out of there, and I looked when we come out, and all the doors were all shut. So that was the one time I was like, oh shit.
That's where I got my favorite EVP. One of the guys that used to be on our team, he pushed me down to the seclusion cells in a wheelchair, and I was acting like a crazy person because this is what we do for fun. So he pushes me into the seclusion cell, shuts the door behind me, and I had the camera on my lap, and I was like, please don't let them keep me. And you hear the other gentleman say, but you're sick. And then we get an EVP right after, keep her. And I was like, oh shit, okay, no, yeah, we're not going to stay here. So it was definitely not disembodied. It was definitely an EVP. We need to pull that one out too again and repost that one. That was a great EVP. And then we've left magazines and cards at Trans Allegheny on the 4th floor.
We did. We ran from that one.
Yeah, we
got
did.
lost though. I think that was the scariest thing because we were at the very end of the hall. Like, there was no more.
Yeah, we couldn't get out. And the doorknob, there were like 4 chairs.
Well, no, before the doorknob, there was the footsteps.
Oh, the footsteps, yeah.
These footsteps were like running towards us. And the minute you turn on the flashlight, you couldn't see it, but you would hear the footsteps running away. Turn the light off, they're coming towards us. It was just repeated itself.
But it was getting closer every time. And then right to my left-hand side, there was a door and a doorknob right there. And it was just like, we threw the cards, we left the magazine, we went down the hall. And then, of course, we picked the one set of steps that you can't get out onto the other floors. We had to go clear to the basement into the Civil War section.
No lights.
No lights. We have no flashlight because our flashlights were dead then. Both of them. So we're like, okay, this sucks, but whatever. We're going to just wander through Trans Allegheny, the two of us by ourselves at 2:00 in the morning. It's dark as hell in here. Okay. And then we end up in the basement. We're like, okay, this is great. This is how scary movies end.
That place is worth it.
Oh, that place is so worth it.
I hope you can make it there.
That's one I definitely want to go to. I know that Christy has talked about that because I know she's investigated there with Soul Sisters, and so we've talked about doing a collaboration and going there just because.
Well, we're game. Sign us up.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
That would be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely one of our favorite places. We've had so much stuff there. Shadows, noises. We actually played ball with a child.
Oh, yeah.
To where we would roll the ball down the hall, and I would say, all right, take it into the room on the right. And it would take it into the room on the right. And then somebody would go get the ball and bring it back. And roll it, I just stayed stationary. So it was like the same roll every time. And okay, take it to the third door on the left. And it would go roll down the hall and then just make this left into this room. And then we were singing songs. And I said, tell us what you want to hear and we'll sing it for you. And complete child singing. You couldn't make out what he was singing, but you could hear the tone.
Mm-hmm.
We all heard it in our ears. Like that was the coolest thing.
We have that on recorder too.
Yeah, that was really neat.
Yeah, that was a cool one.
That's one of my favorites where you can actually hear it yourself without, listening later.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. I know I need to go back and catch up on some of your all's videos from. I remember watching, and I'm trying to think of where this place was. You all did a live, and you were locked in a cell, or no? You did a straight jacket.
I was handcuffed to the cell.
Okay.
So it was either Old Licking County. It was either Old Licking County Jail in Ohio or it was Detroit 6th District Precinct.
It was Detroit.
I can't remember.
Okay, because I've been locked in both. So I take real handcuffs. I don't take the fake ones, So I take real hinged cuffs and. So I'm pretty sure that was the 6th District Precinct that you were watching the live. We didn't get a whole lot. We got some motion down the hallway, nothing that we could make out. That was a pretty quiet night. That place was a really cool building. It was really, really neat to see. We didn't get a ton of activity that night though. So
gotcha. But that's the stuff you'll see, whenever you do your lives. So folks definitely want to tune into that. So we're about to wrap things up here in a few minutes. So again, if you guys want to just mention again what you got going on and the best place for people to find you, that way we make sure we get some people over to your page and watching some of your lives this week.
Absolutely. So one of our bucket list locations this year, guys, is SCI Crescent. So that is in July 15th. So we will be on Facebook Live. Promote our YouTube page, please, so that we can be able to go live on YouTube as well. We'll be at the Bel Air House this weekend, all weekend long. So we'll be going live on Facebook throughout the weekend. And thank you for the suggestion. We will definitely download those and put those on YouTube. And then from there, we're headed to Ohio State Reformatory. And then... No, I'm sorry. Fairfield County Infirmary, then Ohio State Reformatory. March, April, May, June is Greenville Manor. Greenville Manor, brand new location. Have seen some really, really cool videos from that location this year. They just opened, so throw Marcus Haig some love too. Head out to Greenville Manor, so we'll be there in June. July is SCI Crescent. And then August is the Heyman House.
That's a new location for us too.
So Facebook, YouTube, Anchor. You can find all of our old podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, if you Google Steel City Ghost Hunters, you will find us. I think we have about 8 or 10 episodes out there. So we'll get better about that. I promise we'll do some podcasts after our investigations now.
Nice. And we'll definitely go through and make sure that we put your all's information in the show notes. I know we've got the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and so we'll make sure to go back and add the podcasts and that on all the different places. I think it's on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube here, and then also on My Mix TV, which will air on Saturday night. So we'll make sure to go in and add all of that so that folks definitely know where to find you all. So thank you again so much for sharing your stories, and I hope to get to do a collaboration with you guys here in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you all so much in the chat room for your questions and your comments. I mean, just love the interactivity here. And just to kind of plug what's coming on next week, I want to make sure that I'm looking at the calendar right here. So next week on the 17th, I'm going to be having Pam Berry from the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, as well as I I think it's the 1882 house. I can't remember. She has a really cool location up there, and I mean it's Gettysburg, so a lot of cool things to talk about. She's going to kind of round up one of our next guests for our Women's History Month, and going to be talking about some really cool things because the bash is going to be coming up here in the summertime, and a lot of great teams going up to there. So we'll have that, and then of course, like I said, this coming this coming Monday night, we're going to have Shonda Ellis Duncan on the Jailhouse Informant podcast, which is going to be great. You guys aren't going to want to miss that. And then also just, again, keep an eye out for different events that we've got going on at the historic Scott County Jail. We've also got St. Albans, April 22nd and 23rd, which is Enigma Cons. I'm going to be there those nights. I think they still have just a few tickets left. They're selling out pretty quick. So you want to make sure if you're coming that you get your room, and also that you get those tickets so that you can come and investigate St. Albans in Radford, Virginia. And then we're also wrapping up the details on the second annual Harold Young Scholarship, that it's a motorcycle, and all other vehicles are welcome. It's a dart run that's going to be happening on May 14th. We'll have more information about that posted next week. And so all funds go to the Harold Young Scholarship Fund, which creates a scholarship fund for Scott High students that are going into the field of sciences. That's named in honor of Dad. So we'll have more information on that, as well as other great events that are coming up throughout the remainder of the year here. So anyway, so again, thank you all so much. And we will see you next weekend. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.